Get that eyesore out of my sight, or pay $50 a day. You have 14 days. The yellow envelope sits in Harold Wynn's hands. He is standing in his driveway, reading a violation notice from the Homeowners Association. The first one in 27 years of living on this street. Trash receptacles visible from the public right-of-way. $50 per day, 14 days to comply. $50 a day, $350 a week, $1,400 a month. Enough to cover Margaret's remaining medical bills. Enough to keep the lights on through winter. For trash cans that have sat in the same spot since 1997. Harold is 71. His hands don't shake. Building inspectors don't shake. They assess. The woman who sent this notice is walking toward him now. Clipboard in one hand, phone in the other. High heels clicking on sidewalk concrete in the middle of July. She stops at his driveway, lowers her sunglasses. Margaret's not here anymore, Harold. It's time this house got with the program. Harold watches her walk away, doesn't say a word. His fingers fold the envelope, once, twice, pressed flat along the crease. The fold is perfect, 35 years of precision. Linda has no idea who she is dealing with. Harold Wynn spent 35 years as a city building inspector. Every comma in every code, every exception in every regulation, every loophole in every ordinance. And what he does with those loopholes, in front of 51 homeowners, will end her. Hey everyone, I found this one around 2 in the morning. Couldn't sleep, just scrolling. The title almost made me skip it, another trash can story. But then I got to the part about the corrugated metal fence that clangs in the wind, and the 71-year-old retired building inspector who built it. 42,000 upvotes. Someone commented, I read this at work and immediately emailed my HOA treasurer. Another one tagged their neighbor. This is your HOA right now. And when you hear what he found in those spreadsheets, and what he did with it in front of 51 homeowners, you'll understand why. How does a widower fighting over trash cans end up toppling an entire HOA board? And what was the HOA president hiding in those spreadsheets? If you love stories where the bully picks the wrong person, follow the channel and tell me, has your HOA ever fined you for something that's been there for years? Harold and Margaret Wynn bought the house in 1997, first home. 10 years of double shifts and savings accounts that barely moved. Immigrants who measured progress in square feet. The magnolia tree was Margaret's idea. She planted it in 1998, a sapling barely taller than the trash cans sitting next to it. Harold stood behind her while she patted the dirt around the base with her bare hands. It'll grow taller than the bins, she said, wiping her forehead with her garden glove, leaving a streak of dirt across her temple. But mostly, I just want a place for us to stand and talk every morning. By 2003, the magnolia towered over the roofline. Margaret took a photo that year, Harold in his inspector uniform, Margaret in her garden gloves, both standing under the tree with the trash cans behind them. That photo sits on Harold's refrigerator. Margaret died 8 months ago, pancreatic cancer. Harold still takes the trash out every morning, still stands under the magnolia, drinks his coffee alone. The tree blooms white every spring. The petals fall like confetti no one asked for. In the garage, Harold's reading glasses rest on a stack of municipal code books, 3 years untouched, thick with dust. He hasn't opened those code books since retirement, but Linda is about to give him a reason. Linda Chen, 52, realtor by trade, HOA president by ambition. She ran the neighborhood like a listing she was prepping for an open house. Clipboard and blazer in July heat. Perfume you could smell from 6 meters away. A pen she clicked constantly. Tack, tack, tack. Like a metronome counting down to your violation notice. Smile that never reached her eyes. She ran for president on a platform of community beautification, which everyone learned meant whatever Linda decided was beautiful. She'd been president 6 months, took over right after Margaret passed. Linda and Margaret had crossed paths at the neighborhood book club. Not close, but acquaintances. Linda did not attend Margaret's funeral. 3 weeks after the funeral, the first violation notice. Then there is Darren Price, 38, moved in 2 years ago. Linda's eyes and ears. The kind of neighbor who photographs your yard and reports you before you finish mowing. He took the photo of Harold's trash cans that started everything. And here's the thing that still makes my blood boil. At Margaret's memorial, Linda had touched Harold's arm and said, "We'll look after you, Harold." Margaret would have wanted that. 3 weeks. That's how long her promise lasted. But Harold wasn't the only target. Ruth, 78 years old, fined $400 for leaving her walker on her front porch. She tried to appeal once. Linda leaned in at the meeting and said, "Ruth, sweetie, the bylaws are very clear. If you can't manage your porch, maybe it's time to consider somewhere with less responsibility." Ruth didn't speak at another meeting for 6 months. Tanya, 34, single mom, double shifts at the hospital, fined because her car sat on her own driveway more than 48 hours. 5 other families, curtain colors, mailbox styles, garden hose storage. 37 violation notices in 6 months. All paid, all silent, all afraid. Same playbook every time. Notice, fine, silence, next target. That's how silence works in a neighborhood like this. Not malice, not indifference, just the ordinary math of personal risk, and nobody wanting to be the one who goes first. Day 12 of 14. Harold goes to the garage, pulls the dust cover off his code books, reading glasses on. He reads the HOA bylaws, all 50 pages, front to back, section by section, the way he read building codes for 35 years. What he finds: the bylaws specify fence requirements for the front yard only. Side yard, where the trash cans sit, has no aesthetic requirements listed. City code maximum for side yard enclosures, 42 inches. No material specification. Harold drives to the salvage yard on Route 9, comes back with corrugated metal sheets, rusted, warped, mismatched, brown oxidation streaking across galvanized steel. He builds a 3-sided enclosure around the trash cans, measures the height twice, 42 inches, exactly to code. The panels are crooked, bolted with exposed hardware that catches the afternoon sun, and when the wind picks up, the sheets rattle and clang like a broken wind chime someone bolted to the side of a house. Day 14. Linda drives by, stops her car in the middle of the street. Her clipboard nearly drops. The corrugated wall hides the trash cans. It complies with every requirement in the bylaws. It is the ugliest thing on the street, and it makes noise. Darren photographs it, posts to the community Facebook group. It goes locally viral. Comments split 50-50, half laughing so hard they can't type, half horrified. Linda sends a new violation notice. Fence not consistent with community aesthetic standards. $75 per day. $50 for the trash cans. Now $75 for the fence built to hide the trash cans. $125 a day total, for a man on a fixed income whose wife died 8 months ago. Harold reads the notice at his kitchen table, opens the bylaws to the side yard section. Side yard fences, no aesthetic standard listed. He opens his email, types one line, "Show me the page number." Linda never responds. So Linda decides to change the rules. She drafts a new bylaw amendment. All exterior structures on residential lots must comply with Architectural Review Committee standards. Translation: she wants control over side yards too. But bylaw changes require a 2/3 vote from all 84 homeowners. Linda schedules a special session. She needs 56 votes. Harold knows this. Page 31, section 8.2. "This isn't about $50, Harold says to the empty kitchen. Not about 75. It's about whether one person gets to decide who belongs. He starts knocking on doors, not to campaign, to listen. Ruth's kitchen. The walker parked next to the stove because there's nowhere else to put it. $400, Ruth says. "I'm on a fixed income, Harold. I paid because I couldn't afford a lawyer to fight it." Tanya's apartment, 11 p.m. She just got off her second shift. Harold is sitting on her porch with the petition and a thermos of coffee. She opens the door, sees him, and almost cries. "You waited?" she says. Harold holds up the thermos. "I had coffee." 7 families, all fined, all quiet, all too afraid to speak alone. Harold sits in Tanya's kitchen while she pours him a cup. "Why are you the first person to ask?" she says. "Because I finally read the book." Wednesday morning. Harold walks outside, mug in hand, Same as every morning since Margaret died. The magnolia looks wrong. One of the large lower branches, the one that arched over the walkway, the one Margaret used to stand under, has been cut. Clean cut. Not storm damage. Someone used a saw. The branch lies across the concrete. White magnolia blossoms scattered on the walkway. A trail of petals leading to nowhere. Harold kneels. His knees ache. 71 years of stairs, ladders, and crawl spaces. He picks up a single bloom, holds it in both hands. The petals are soft, cool, still fresh. He stays there for a long time. That night, Harold sits in the kitchen. The photo on the fridge. Margaret under the magnolia, 2003. Her garden gloves. The streak of dirt on her forehead. He hears Linda's words again. Not Linda's voice this time. Margaret's voice, saying goodbye. Margaret's not here anymore, Harold. His hands shake, just once, then they stop. Harold isn't saying goodbye, not yet. You're looking at a 71-year-old man kneeling on concrete, holding a magnolia bloom that still smells like his wife's garden, the tree she planted with her own hands. Someone cut it in the night. Would you pay the fines and sell, or would you open the code books? The next morning, Harold opens section 12.4 of the HOA bylaws. Any homeowner in good standing has the right to inspect all financial records of the association upon written request. Harold sends a certified letter, official, return receipt requested. Linda's response, 2 weeks later, financial records are a confidential board matter. Harold sends a second letter, section 12.4, please comply within 10 business days. Linda sends records 3 days later. Harold opens the envelope at the kitchen table, reads every line. He's done this before, reading financial documents for compliance, city buildings, commercial permits, expense reports. The landscaping expenses look sparse. 3 line items seem absent, numbers that should add up to more than they do. He can't prove it yet, but something is off. Think about that. $400 for a walker, $75 a day for a fence, from a woman whose own numbers don't add up. Harold sits in the garage. Code books stacked around him, dust floating in the afternoon light through the window. He remembers the day Margaret planted the magnolia, 1998. She was on her knees in the dirt. Harold brought her lemonade. She looked up, streak of dirt on her forehead, garden glove in one hand, trowel in the other, and said, "It'll grow taller than the trash can, I promise." He remembers. He was the one who checked whether the tree met city code setbacks before she planted it. It did. Even planting a tree, he checked the code. That's who he is. Now he opens the code books again. Not city code. HOA bylaws. Section 12.4. Financial transparency. 2 days later, a manila envelope appears in Harold's mailbox. No return address. Inside, a complete set of HOA financial records. A post-it note in neat handwriting. Compare page 7. Harold spreads both sets on the kitchen table. Linda's official version on the left, the anonymous version on the right. Page 7. Landscaping expenses. Q3. Linda's version, $4,800 total. Anonymous version, $13,000 total. 3 additional payments, $2,800, $3,100, $2,300, all to Green Edge Landscaping LLC. Harold types Green Edge Landscaping LLC into the county business registry. Owner, David Chen, Linda's husband. $8,200, paid to a company owned by the HOA president's spouse, from community funds, for landscaping that was never performed. The woman who fines a widower $50 a day for trash cans steals $8,200 from the same people she claims to protect, 164 times what she charged Harold, from the same checkbook. Harold picks up the dried magnolia bloom from the windowsill, brown at the edges, still intact. "Maggie," he says to the empty kitchen, "I found it." Harold needs 30 signatures to call a special meeting. Section 9.1, Vote of No Confidence. Ruth signs first. Her hand trembles. Harold holds the clipboard steady for her. One by one, door by door. Harold's corrugated fence becomes a symbol. Neighbors drive by, point, laugh. Someone spray paints "The Wall of Shame" on a piece of cardboard and leans it against the fence. Harold leaves it there. 3 neighbors build their own corrugated enclosures, technically compliant, aesthetically catastrophic. One uses old license plates. Another uses reclaimed barn wood with gaps you could fit a cat through. Tanya zip ties neon pool noodles to hers. Linda sends an emergency board email. Unauthorized structures are being erected in violation of pending amendments. The amendments haven't passed. She's citing rules that don't exist yet. Harold's reply, his second certified letter in a month. Show me the page number. Heavier this time. Day 14 of the petition drive. 34 signatures, 4 more than required. Harold hand-delivers the petition to the HOA registered agent. Certified mail. Return receipt. Meeting set for Saturday, 2 p.m., Community Center. Linda spends the week calling homeowners one by one. This is a disruption. Harold is confused. He's grieving. She's using his grief as a weapon. Again. Saturday, 2 p.m., folding chairs in the community center, fluorescent lights humming. 51 homeowners present, the largest turnout in HOA history. Linda opens the meeting, professional, poised, hair pinned, blazer pressed. I have dedicated my time to this community. These allegations are the work of one man, a confused, grieving man who can't let go of the past. She looks at Harold with practiced pity. The room murmurs. Harold stands. No notes, no emotion on his face. The face of a man who has read 10,000 inspection reports and never flinched. He holds up 2 sheets of paper, side by side. These are the HOA financial records for Q3. He holds up the left sheet. This is the version Linda sent me when I requested them under Section 12.4. He holds up the right sheet. This is the original. The room goes quiet. Harold sets both sheets on the podium. His right hand moves to his jacket pocket, touches the dried magnolia bloom, doesn't take it out. Page 7. $8,200 paid to Green Edge Landscaping LLC, registered to David Chen. He pauses. Linda's husband. No one breathes. $8,200 of your money for landscaping that was never performed. Each sentence flat, clinical. Building inspector reporting findings, just the facts. Show me the page number, Linda. 3rd time. Show me the page where it says you can pay your husband with our money. The room inhales. Ruth clutches her walker. Tanya covers her mouth with both hands. Tony, the guy who just wanted to grill in peace, stands up from the 3rd row. I move for a vote of no confidence. And then a voice from the back. Janet Morrison, board member, 6 years, the quiet one who never spoke up at meetings. She stands, holds a folder. I have the original records. Her voice is steady. I've been keeping them since Linda asked me to update the files 4 months ago. She looks at Harold. I should have spoken sooner. I'm sorry. Silence wasn't cowardice. It was evidence preservation. Linda's face drains of color, closes, opens again. Those records are... I can explain. David's company was the most competitive bid. She's stammering. The woman who always had the clipboard, always had the answer, always had the pen clicking. Tack, tack, tack. Now the pen sits on the table. Still. Harold quiet. You're right about one thing, Linda. Margaret's not here anymore. He looks directly at her. But I am, and I read every page. Vote 47-3. Linda, David, Darren. Linda stands, collects her phone, leaves the clipboard on the table. Her heels click once on the linoleum, then stop. She switches to the balls of her feet. Silent. She passes Ruth's row. Ruth doesn't look up, doesn't need to. The woman who ran this neighborhood like a listing she was flipping can't make eye contact with a single person in it. The woman who wanted to control every trash can in the neighborhood couldn't control her own husband's invoices. Here is what happened after. Linda was ordered to repay $8,200 to the HOA Community Fund. 12 violation notices were voided. Harold's, Ruth's walker, Tanya's car, and 9 others. Darren received a formal censure, banned from filing complaints for 2 years. Tony became the new president. His first official act: side yard structures are exempt from aesthetic review. The exact rule Linda tried to add was permanently deleted. The irony stacks. Linda spent 6 months enforcing aesthetic standards. Her legacy? A fleet of corrugated metal enclosures, a neighborhood with fewer rules than before, and a line item in HOA records that will be talked about for years. Harold keeps the corrugated fence for 2 more weeks after Linda leaves. Neighbors walk by, laugh. "Harold, when are you taking that thing down?" Harold sips his coffee. "It grew on me. Margaret would have hated it. That's why I'm keeping it a little longer. She's probably up there rolling her eyes right now." Then Harold takes the fence down. The trash cans sit next to the magnolia tree again, where they've always been, where Margaret put them in 1997, the branch that was cut. New growth reaches up from the wound. Small, green, reaching toward the light. Saturday morning, Harold takes the trash out, stands under the magnolia, drinks his coffee. Maggie would have loved this. He walks back toward the house. Before he closes the door, Ruth waves from across the street, Walker on the porch, where it belongs. Tanya honks her horn, pulling into her driveway after her shift. Tony gives a thumbs up from his porch, tongs in hand, grill smoking. Harold waves back. He hasn't waved at anyone in 8 months. The next week, Harold gets a letter from the city. Apparently, someone reported his mailbox as structurally unsound. Harold smiles, opens his code books. If your HOA has ever made you feel like Harold, like you're being punished for living in your own home, drop a comment. I want to hear your story. Subscribe, because next week, an HOA treasurer funnels $55,000 through ghost invoices into her own account. And the retired accountant who catches her? He wasn't even looking for fraud. He was looking for a receipt for pool chlorine. Share this with anyone who's ever gotten a violation notice for something that's been there longer than the HOA president. Harold fought for his trash cans and ended up freeing his entire neighborhood. What would you fight for?